Hey, hi, hello. It's time to reorganize my bookcase. So if you're new here, I moved into this place in the end of June 2021. It is October of 2021. And since then, I have been promising you all a library/studio tour of like my office space. But I have not been happy with how my books have been organized, so I've been pushing it off. But I realized I don't think I'm ever going to be 100% happy, and just pushing it off more and more and more isn't going to solve that problem. I have a few hours to kill. I'm going to take all of the books off of my shelves. I'm going to clean everything really nicely, and then we're going to reorganize and hopefully make me a happy human being. I want to first show you, I have one shelf downstairs. Okay, so I actually have two shelves downstairs. This one is getting worked on right now, so that's why it's not upstairs, but it will. And then I have a shelf behind it, which will stay down here. This is all of my like childhood classics. So I have my Harry Potter collection over here, and then I have my Chronicles of Narnia, I have my Hunger Games, and I have my Maximum Ride, along with a few miscellaneous other books that I bought and read when I was a child. This is my office. So I have a bookcase here, and then some stacked bookcases here. I have my printer and my Cricut for my stickers that I make here. I have my second desk, which is where I package everything. It's like a clean area, although I don't get to use it because everything's in the way right now. And then I have my painting desk. All my paintings have been falling off the walls, but my painting desk where I can make a mess and I don't have to worry about it. This right here is where that blue bookcase is gonna go. And then this is the wall. That painting has fallen and I can't find it, so I think it's behind this bookcase. Working on eventually and painting the front of. And then I have this, which I'm gonna be using for some sticker storage. But I have always organized my books by vibes. So right now what the vibes kind of are is SciFi is up here. I have a random stack of books here that I don't know what to do with. These are the books I have currently bought this month, so they don't need to be here. And then I have more of my classic fantasy stuff that isn't necessarily a favorite, but I don't want to get rid of it. I might never reread them, but I also want to keep them on my shelves. And then I have my hardback collection. Most of them are YA, but not all of them. I just kind of like how the black and gold hardbacks look near each other. I don't know what to call this shelf. It was like my leftover books. And then here I have my horror minus, I do have one book on this shelf that is not a horror because it goes with, it's a Katrina Leno, it's a contemporary magical realism, and I just wanted my Katrina Lenos to be near each other. Here I have more of my classics, so it's my Sherlock Holmes collection, and then some classic books, kind of more of like look books or coffee table books, I guess you would call them. I know you can't see down below, but down here I have YA fantasy. This doesn't belong here because I'm currently reading it. I have a stack of books that I hope to get to soon. Over here I have a lot more of my new adult fantasy, but even that doesn't make total sense because The Mask of Mirrors is adult and Strange the Dreamer really doesn't match those vibes. And then at the bottom I have my TBR pile along with graphic novels. I only own like 5, but I have those. And then over here I have miscellaneous. They didn't fit anywhere else and I got annoyed and I just kind of threw them there because I have things like all of my Brent Weeks collection along with my V. Schwab books, which don't vibe together. And then over here, oh, this is gonna be hard to see because my chair's in the way. I have what I consider my favorite books. So I have my Brandon Sandersons along with Game of Thrones. I have my Queen of the Tearling collection along with Winter's Promise. But I did just get the 4th one and it's not going to fit up here next to these ones. And then I have my SJMs turned around along with my Plated Prisoner series, along with this, which isn't a favorite. I just threw it here because I didn't know what to do with it. My start of The Expanse, which is Leviathan Wakes, and then I have my whole complete collection of my Matthew Wards. So it's just kind of a mess and I'm not happy with it. So my thought is I'm gonna pick up everything off the floor because I have a lot of shit on the floor right now. And then once I do that, I'm gonna take everything off and I'm gonna start building stacks of kind of books I want near each other. I'll put you guys on time lapse because taking off of the books and cleaning everything is going to be a mess and it's gonna take a long time. Okay, so I have some general stacks going. What most things are divided into is genre and age range. So I tend to have a lot of fantasy, as you can see, but it's split up into young adult, old young adult, young adult, new adult, and adult, because even though some books are categorized as adult, I feel like they read younger. That's the plan. Welcome. Also, I do have 2 stacks over there, which are, the one on the left is the one I'm currently, or I have finished for this month, so it needs to be talked about in my wrap up. And then I have this one, which is the books I bought this month. I think I'm gonna put them into the stacks they belong into so that I don't even have to think about them. And if you noticed, I do have a stack up here. These are the books I'm considering unhauling. I haven't totally decided yet whether or not they will be unhauled, so they're gonna stay there for the time being. Somehow I started out this process with so much space and so many books, and my books fit and had plenty of room. And now I have no more space and still a few piles of books. So I'm figuring this out. I'm not happy right now. A little bit frustrated, but I'm much happier with how things are looking. This shelf over here has ended up being all of my adult fantasy, and so there might be a few things that kind of move around, but I ended up putting my TBR in with my red books. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I wasn't planning on doing any unhauling, to be honest. I was just going to be rearranging my books. And as I started doing it, I was getting more and more frustrated with things and more wanting to have less books on my shelf that I keep for the sake of keeping. And I have about 3 stacks that come up to about my shoulder when I'm sitting over here of books that I'm planning on unhauling. I'm not gonna make any final decisions today because I know that I'm in a mood, and I know that some of these I might have more of an emotional connection to than I'm realizing right now. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy. Some small changes might happen, but let's review my shelves. So here is what used to be my favorite shelf. Now it is like my high epic fantasy shelf, which is a nice feeling. Not all of my high epic fantasies fit here, to be fair. Some of them made it right there, but we'll discuss kind of why these ones are here. And actually, we can't discuss anything. They're literally here because these fit, those didn't. There was barely any logic. So I have Game of Thrones and then A Dance with Dragons. Those are the only 2 I own, but I have read all of them. And then Aragon, Eldest, and Brazinger. I have read Inheritance, but I also, once again, don't own that book. To the right, I have Ruin of Kings and A Name of All Things. I will be getting the rest of the series, so this will have to change coming next May once I've read all of them, but it'll take me some time to get through those. So then I have Warbreaker, which the sequel is probably never going to be written at this point, so who the hell cares? I have my 3 Mistborns, and then my, Stormlight. Stormlight 4, Rhythm of War, the physical paperback, is going to be coming this month, so I will need to make room for that as well. Oh my god. Then down here I can't remember what this series is called, but it's The Kingdom of Liars and The Two-Faced Queen, and then they go right next to my Shadow of What Was Lost series. I think those go well together because they're both kind of about an unreliable young boy coming of age and finding out his gifts and everything. Then here I have not read Art or Ben yet, but I'm putting them there because they fit. And I have The Name of the Wind, and I have The Mask of Mirrors, which I just received the sequel arc for, but it's an e-copy, so I'm really excited about that. And then down here I have my Michael J. Sullivan shelf. Then I have my Brent Weeks collection along with an arc that the author sent me, Song of Echoes, which I have not read yet, but we'll be getting to hopefully shortly. So over here, I did manage to get an entire shelf empty. This will not be staying empty for long, but it's fine for right now. It is empty. And then I have my magical realism shelf. These are all connected by having some type of magical realism element, although to be fair, some of them are very different from other ones, but we'll go through this pretty quickly. Ocean at the End of the Lane, which is a horror magical realism. Summer of Salt, which is a contemporary magical realism. You Must Not Miss, which is kind of also a horror magical realism. The Year of the Witching is more of a horror historical fantasy, but it works. I have The Host, which is more of a dystopian, but I'm going to call it Firekeeper's Daughter, which is more of a mystery thriller, but it does have a few magical elements to it. And then The Starless Sea, which is one of my favorite books of all time, is definitely magical realism. I Crawl Through It is a weird magical realism. If you haven't read this, I highly recommend. Small Favors, which is more of a horror, but I haven't read it yet, so it's going here until I know better where to put it. C.M. Martinez and the Moonlit Beginning of Everything. Loved this book. Read it back in January, and it's a sci-fi magical realism. So if you want something weird like that. Replica is more of a dystopian, but I'm going to make it fit. And then I have my Raven Boys Quartet. Over here is my horror shelf. So I have the Final Girl Support Group, which I haven't read yet. I have Pet Sematary, It by Stephen King, The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek, Rules for Vanishing, which I loved, highly recommend, Horrid, Don't Tell a Soul, and House of Hollow. Over here is back to some more adult fantasy that just didn't fit over on the other shelf. So I have Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. These are the movie editions, all of them. These three used to belong to my brother. This one I bought for myself. Then I have The Raven Tower, really fantastic book if you're looking for some trans rep in a high fantasy, and it's a standalone. I have Black Sun. I don't know if I'm going to buy the sequel, at least not in hardback. I might get the audiobook and just that because I don't love the cover. Empire of the Vampire, I haven't read it yet, so I don't know where it really belongs, but I'm gonna hope it'll fit here. And then I have my Legacy of Ash trilogy. I have the first one in hardback and paperback because a friend bought me this one and it's signed. Over here I have Master of Sorrows, which I really wanted to put into the shelf where I was talking about unreliable young boy coming of age fantasy, but it wouldn't fit. And then I have Eye of the World, Wheel of Time, the first book, which I will be reading in January, so I'm really excited about that too. Over here is my classics and my collection stuff. I won't be going through all of these because they're really not like books that you talk about, but I have Ender's Game, 1984, Meditations, and Fight Club, which I've read all of those except for Meditations. I have read parts of it. It's not like a sit down and read all of it kind of a book. So then we have my favorite shelf. I decided to go ahead and just do one shelf of my absolute favorite series. Ninth House isn't supposed to be here, but it didn't make sense to put it anywhere else, and I really wanted to keep my Leigh Bardugo books together, minus Shadow and Bone. So I put it up here. It's not like my favorite of all time or anything, but it just fits, so it sits. So Ninth House, I have Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, Language of Thorns, King of Scars, Rule of Wolves, and The Language of Saints, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, The Lives of Saints. So those are all of my Leigh Bardugo books. I love her. I love her a lot. I will pretty much buy anything that she writes. And then I have my Tierling series. So we've got The Queen of the Tierling, The Invasion of the Tierling, The Fate of the Tierling, and Beneath the Keep. All of these I have rated 5 stars. Very good books. And then we have my Mere Visitor Quartet. So A Winter's Promise, Missing of Claire de Lune, The Memory of Babel, and The Storm of Echoes. I will be reading that book in November. Then down below, we have my YA fantasy collection, what's left of it, because that's a lot of what I ended up unhauling, to be honest. So Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I can't wait for book 3. We have The Last Namsara. I have the whole entire Morgan Rhodes Fallen Kingdom books, which I really enjoyed and I hope to one day reread. Then I have 3 Dark Crowns. I did decide to unhaul the other 2 that I had in this series because none of them were matching editions, and I don't see myself rereading the whole series, but I see myself rereading book 1. And then I have the Cruel Prince series, which, honest to God, I just read these like a month or two ago. I have Tales from the Hinterlands. I have Shadow and Bone because it fits down here better than I think it fits up here. And then I have An Ember in the Ashes, the first three, because I bought these all together and I never got the fourth one. I don't know if the fourth one's in paperback yet, but I don't, honest to God, think I'll buy the fourth one because I really loved these two and I kind of tolerated book 3 and 4. So over here, this is my miscellaneous shelf. So this is where everything went that like didn't fit anywhere else on my shelves. And so this one is what's frustrating me the most, but I have that spot up top. So I might move some things around after this, but for now, I don't have any more time today to do this. So I have The Priory of the Orange Tree. I have my entire Nevernight series. It's this one and these two. They're all different editions and that frustrates me to no end, but I did what I did and now I can't turn back and something's crooked in here. I have the first book in Song of Blood and Stone. I have the other 3 down here, and the reason why I'm willing to keep 2 editions of the first book is because they are actually different editions. One is a special edition that has more story in it, and so I want to keep both because when this is the one I read when I didn't realize there were 2 different stories. So eventually I want to reread that one and see how they're different. Then I have The Poppy War and V.E. Schwab Gathering of Shadows. I don't like how this goes. Poppy War does not go next to these things, but I don't have a choice here. Then I have Autumn's Tithe, which I just finished and really enjoyed. Fae fantasy, young adult fae fantasy. The Atlas 6, which I have not read yet, and I know it will not go here once I've finished, but this is where it fits for now, and I don't really know what the vibes are until I've read it. I have Thorn and Sunbolt, both by Intisar Kanani. I really enjoyed Sunbolt, and I enjoyed Thorn. I have The Sunderlands, which I haven't read yet. Song of the Forever Rains, which I just finished, and book 2 is coming to me this month. Really enjoyed this as well. It was just like fun, new adult fantasy romance kind of a book, easy read. And then I have Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares, which I love those books so much. I guess you could call it my smut shelf, but it's like more so my new adult fantasy romance shelf. So over in the corner, I have my 3 Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I have not read Crown of Gilded Bones yet. One day, and then I have Gild, Glint, and Gleam. I cannot wait for Glow to come out next month. Next year. I have Crescent City, which I've already pre-ordered the next one, and I pre-ordered it in the hardback, so it's not going to match, but that's okay. It's fine. So many of my editions haven't matched, and it's all good as long as I read the book and enjoy it. And then I have my Sarah J. Maas's. I have my Song of Blood and Stones. And then in the corner down here, I have Kingdom of the Wicked. I know it's really dark over here. Then this shelf is also kind of random / this is my sci-fi shelf. So I have Leviathan Wakes and Caliban's War. As I go, I'm buying them as I read them, which is how I want to buy books. There's a part of me that fails every single time. So the third one is on its way and I can't wait to be reading it. Then I have Illumine Gemina Obsidio. Loved those books. I have Gideon and Harrow and A Memory Called Empire are kind of more of sci-fi fantasy books, which is really fun. And then I have The Fifth Wave and The Infinite Sea. I do own the third one, but it's not the same edition and I didn't really love the third one, so it's in the unhaul pile. And I'm honest to God considering unhauling The Infinite Sea, but we'll see. And then I have Middle Game, which is more of like a magical realism dystopian sci-fi, but I'm putting it here because I like how the like black spines go together. And then in the corner, you can't see it very well, but I have the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So I might still do some more unhauling, as you heard me say a few times. I'm not sure if I'm going to actually keep this thing or not. There's a few more books on my shelf that I am eyeing as like, yeah, I really enjoyed you, but am I ever going to actually read you again? Along with a few where I'm like, I didn't enjoy you, but I'm keeping you because of reasons. There's that one shelf that is going to bother the hell out of me because nothing on it seems to match, but it's okay. A bunch of books. It's 26 letters tattooed on dead trees. Like, it's not the end of the world. I will continue to live. That took me about 3 hours to do, to be honest. So not horrible, but more time than I would have liked. Let me know down below how often you reorganize your books. I tend to do it maybe about once a year. I've had to do it a few extra times the past 2 years because of moving and different things like that. Anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye!